Games Workshop sells rights to Warhammer 40k to woke Amazon, plus Henry Cavill future in danger. This is not good. I thought Warhammer was looking good and they were king of the hill. Apparently, they're going downhill. It's not a good thing to see. But Saber Interactive is a different thing from Games Workshop. Games Workshop just owns the IP. So maybe the video games are still going to be in a good place, at least a couple of them. Most of them, I think, have flopped and failed throughout the years. Anyway, let's get to this.
Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and there's been some major updates surrounding Warhammer 40k and specifically the live-action series. Yet there's some very alarming parts of this entire story that I barely see anyone even talking about. Beyond this, I want to also look into how Amazon's other IPs are painting a picture of what we can expect here and why I don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows. And then finish with a grave blow to the games industry as Gamergate 2 ravages the entirety of everything. It's crazy and we'll get there. Firstly, it's official. Amazon and Games Workshop have reached an agreement finally when it comes to their Warhammer 40k live-action universe. They had a whole year to get this down and they took their sweet time with this because it came down to the very wire here before they could agree on anything. Had the year gone by with no results, the deal would have broken off completely is what I've been reading. So at least they got it done. However, there's a really worrying aspect here that not enough people are realizing. Let me show you. This is from cityam.com and it's titled Games Workshop, Amazon buys rights to Warhammer 40k. Yes, you read that right. Amazon bought the rights to Warhammer. No, your eyes are not deceiving you.
So they're going to go ahead. They're going to change everything. They're going to change it how they want it to be. They're going to change all the lore. They're going to retcon everything. And they're going to put women in it. They're going to put a chick in it, make it gay. That's what's going to happen.
As the report suggests, Games Workshop has finally admitted and accepted Amazon's terms after a year of negotiations. These creative guidelines are finalized and set in stone. Whatever they agreed on cannot be undone now. This deal also exclusively allows Amazon to profit off of any associated merchandise that is created in partnership with the future films or TV shows as well. Which could be a good thing, but it also means any future Space Marine content made that has any connection to Amazon's show, they now get a hefty cut in profit from when it comes to Games Workshop's acceptance of this very deal. As these analysts said, this update was largely expected, but it is the important final step in bringing Warhammer to a global audience.
Oh no.
Looks okay so far.
I don't like that. I don't want Warhammer to be for a global audience. They're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it. We want to make this for everybody. We're gonna make it inclusive and diverse so everybody can enjoy it. That's what's happening. It's not good. They've already started with the show, trying to change it and put women in it.
I guess right. Well, it gets more concerning as the article states here. Amazon also has the option to license equivalent rights in the Warhammer Fantasy universe following the release of an initial Warhammer 40,000 film or television show. This means, effectively, that Amazon now has a say in what happens within the Warhammer universe at large across the board. This is not good, guys. I understand people are happy that we're getting Warhammer shows and whatnot, but I'm finding myself at a loss here to outweigh the negatives from the cons. The reason why is because Amazon is a very progressive company, like pretty much every other corporation, let's be real. These companies have in the past, when doing these sorts of deals, taken IP that was considered sacred.
They are going to mess it up. They're going to think that they're smarter and better than the original creators, and they're going to break it, and they're going to ruin the IP. And then it's going to be confusing, and it's not going to be as tangible, because you can kind of jump in, and all of the lore is pretty much consistent. There's some inconsistencies because it's such a big universe, but pretty much it stays consistent. We are about to lose that consistency. I think what's about to happen is it's going to break off, and we're going to get the like fan version of Warhammer 40k, and then the Amazon version of Warhammer 40k, and the fan version is just going to be from the beginning to this point is all that there is, and this is all the stuff that is actually true. Everything that Amazon made is not true. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happened to Star Wars. there's a list of things out there that's like, these are the ones to avoid and pretend they don't exist.
And then injecting their current dayisms into it. A great example of a similar deal of this magnitude going down is of course the Lord of the Rings with Amazon. We all know that the Rings of Power unfortunately exists, pretty much nobody likes it either. The first season did horribly, alienated fans, and broke canon just to ensure a girl boss Galadriel was the main character, even though we all knew she never fought in any battles prior to or after this show's events. She was simply made into a badass warrior and presented as the hero because Amazon and the progressive producers over there were not interested in giving fans what they really want, but instead using something with a pre-established franchise to push their moronic agenda through. This is why stupid stuff happens like Sauron.
And everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. It was a fantastic show. Won many awards. People are going to remember it through the ages of being great. They did an amazing service by changing the story of Tolkien's original's perfect story. They made it even more perfect.
Apparently having a thing with Galadriel, even though this has never happened in the books. But you need that sexy tension to keep the female watchers watching apparently, even though that's downplaying what female Lord of the Rings fans actually really want. Even though Amazon tried to spin the story that Rings of Power Season 2 was doing better, it still wasn't meeting Amazon's nor fans' expectations. Because they bastardized the source material to fit a modern agenda. The only reason they cared about Lord of the Rings was because people knew what it was already. You really didn't have to do much to get people invested because the groundwork was done for you by better writers and storytellers already. And even with those amazing prospects and spring...
This is supposed to be the most expensive show ever created, and it looks like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets when he was riding around on the broom, and that's bad. That's real bad.
Springboards to leap off.
That looks like cartoon.
Amazon managed instead to not once, but twice screw up their Rings offerings and fail fans. So circling this back to Warhammer, there's a reason why I'm explaining this to you, because all of this is simply deja vu all over again. What Games Workshop has agreed to here with Amazon is almost identical to what happened with Lord of the Rings. Games Workshop was so desperate to get their
dogs were freaking out for nothing. Thought somebody was pulling up.
Franchise in front of more eyes for profit, they effectively are willing to make a deal with the devil if it means more people know what Warhammer even is. This is scary because seeing what Amazon did with Rings, this doesn't fill me with any confidence that they could do this as well. Of course, the one unique outlier here is the secret level episode of Warhammer, which in case you didn't know, that episode was a direct continuation after the events of Space Marine 2, and it even has Captain Titus in it. It was dope, it felt like Warhammer, and it looked amazing. Now, if that's how this all goes down, consider me a happy guy. I got no...
It'll at least be how it goes down at first, but eventually it's not. It's not going to be like that anymore. They will change it. Especially once it starts slipping, then they'll be like, uh-oh, we got to change it because it's not working. People don't like Warhammer anymore. We're going to have to change Warhammer into something that it's not so we can make more money. And then it's going to fail even more, and they're going to be like, people don't like Warhammer anymore. Shut it down. No more Warhammer.
Complaints, because that episode was just badass from start to finish. The tone was right, it took itself seriously, and there was no stupid nonsense in it. And it even had diversity. Wow, imagine that. It's almost as if diversity just happens naturally when you don't make it out to be something on purpose. Everyone was happy with that secret level episode, but let's be real, I don't think that's going to be the quality of the show per se the entire time. My big worry is that Amazon will Rings of Power Warhammer into an early grave. Let's also not forget that within the last year of these discussions going on, that some weird stuff has happened in the meantime. For example, Games Workshop...
If they Rings of Power it, that's not even going to be as bad as if they go the Paramount route and Halo it. I don't want it to be Haloed. Please don't Halo it, Amazon.
Officially made female...
Please Fallout the new Warhammer.
Adeptus Custodes canon with their show, The Tithes. In all her Giga Chad Chin glory, Games Workshop promoted and confirmed something that only a few years back would be considered sacrilegious to fans of Warhammer. It's the Ciri Witcher thing all over again. Women can't be Witchers, it's been that way for years, but now suddenly they can be Witchers. Why? Because it's progressive, you bigot. Stop being a sexist or whatever buzzwords need to be thrown your way to ensure that you allow the things these people want to come true.
I haven't played The Witcher enough to know that. I didn't know that that was a thing in the lore. And that's not good. Don't be changing the lore to fill an agenda. It's gross.
What's been going on for years now, in case you haven't noticed, is that companies have been overrun with activists. Amazon is no different, they're everywhere in this too, and all of these properties have been getting nudged little by little, inch by activists to keep moving the goalposts, hoping that you don't notice. First, you see the official Warhammer account confirm that female Adeptus Custodes exist, even though they haven't actually prior to that. Then people go, oh, don't worry, it's just a rogue intern on the Warhammer Twitter page, until it isn't. And suddenly there's a massive diamond chin breaking woman who looks like she eats people walking around and is now considered canon officially. But the texts have said for years there's no female Adeptus Custodes. How could this suddenly out of nowhere be something that happened? Even though it's never been mentioned, but they've actually always existed even though they were never mentioned before. Don't ask questions, stop being a bigot, and keep giving us your money like the good peon you are. Look, I would want nothing more than a great Warhammer series, I really would. Why in the hell would I want this to suck? To make money on YouTube? It's crazy, cause my more popular videos are almost always me praising games rather than criticizing them. Why the hell would I not want that here too? A healthy, thriving community with good content is always better for business than a destroyed one anyways. I don't want Warhammer's live action shows to suck the same way I don't want Witcher 4 to suck. The same way that I love Dragon Age, but then
Not just the live action shows, it's like they have other say on like the lore and stuff being changed. And that's what's really bad about the whole franchise.
Guard happened, and I felt like I got my teeth kicked in by people who don't care or know what Dragon Age even is when they made that game. Like always, these sorts of things are destroyed, manipulated, and warped not because these people care, but it's because they saw something made by people better than they'll ever be when it comes to creating something, and instead of making their own thing, they just hijack what is already there and use it to push their stupid commie beliefs. Of course, we are probably at least 2 to 3 years away before we see anything actually materialize out of this deal. I understand that. However, let's not be stupid and ignore the objective reality that in the meantime, Amazon now pretty much has the power within Games Workshop beyond any of this. There's no doubt in my mind that between now and whenever we get our first actual real look at whatever it is,
They're going to use it as a marketing campaign. They're going to do a bunch of things to piss everybody off, release their thing, everybody's going to hate watch it, and then they're going to kill Warhammer.
that they're making, there's going to be subtle changes to the lore of the series that feels out of place to fans that will be popping up. My most obvious concern, and this will likely happen if I'm being honest, is that Amazon has and will push Games Workshop to forcibly inject female Space Marines into the franchise no matter what.
That's the least of my worries. That is like at the bottom. I don't want that to happen because that's ridiculous. And if that does happen, I'm probably going to steer clear of Warhammer from now on. But they're going to do much, much worse things than that. They'll start putting trans characters in it. They'll put like a whole like trans army in there.
There's no doubt in my mind, dude, that this is going to exist and happen at some point. I joked for years that it's only a matter of time before CDPR makes Ciri a Witcher despite being a woman, and lo and behold, it happened anyway. I told you guys they'll be removing male heroes like crazy for female ones for years, and I keep, unfortunately, end up being right about this as well too. And now we're left with the Space Marines, the wildly popular best-selling product out of Games Workshop. There is no way in the holiest of hells that Amazon did not make this a demand of Games Workshop. There just isn't. I am beyond convinced that at some point in some book, animated short, hell, probably the Tithes show that they got going on already, somewhere, some way, somehow, they're going to have a Marine take their helmet off, and it's going to be the ugliest, most decrepit depiction of a woman that you've ever seen. Bonus points if it has a septum piercing, probably a bald head. It'll, unironically, be the intergalactic main character chick, but in Space Marine armor. And you can bet your sweet butt cheeks at some point they'll add transgender Space Marines too, because what even is gender these days anyway? If men and women are exactly the same in every single way and pronouns and genders can be changed out and switched like they're Pokemon in your roster, surely they can do trans Space Marines, right? Hell, give them the trans flag pins on their armor too, and suddenly everyone in the Adeptus...
That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna start they're gonna release a game where you're gonna buy Warhammer skins and you're gonna be able to make a gay Warhammer character. You're gonna be able to put the flag on it, have a whole rainbow outfit, a pink armor.
Mechanicus will be women all of a sudden as well. The little baby freak things that fly around and help the Space Marines will suddenly be incredibly diverse too. But don't worry, every bad guy will still be a white man, of course, like always. Maybe a white woman once in a while just to spruce things up, and they'll throw in a diverse person of color every now and then as a villain. You know, just to keep you on your toes, only to reveal that in the end they were being manipulated and they're actually just misunderstood. And then the actual villain is some white guy who's pathetic like they always do. My god, guys, I know I'm being cynical here. I mean, what do you expect? It's me. For God's sakes, this channel's description says it right there that I'm cynical too, so what do you expect? But the fact that I've been proven way too many times to unfortunately be right when I so desperately want to be wrong, it does not fill me with confidence. Well, at least Henry Cavill is happy about it. He posted about this via Instagram where he said, "To celebrate some Warhammer news, I decided to make a pilgrimage to the very first place I bought Warhammer models over 30 years ago, the little shop on my home island of Jersey. My incredible team and I, alongside the brilliant minds of Games Workshop, have been working away in concept rooms breaking down approaches to the enormity and magnificence of the Warhammer world. Together, we've been sifting through the plethora of incredible characters and poring over old texts and tomes. Our combined efforts have led us to a fantastic place to start our universe, which has been agreed upon by those up high at both Amazon and Games Workshop.
They're gonna force him out. He can't stay forever. He's got too many good ideas. That doesn't fit the agenda.
Starting place shall for now remain a secret. Watch this space, though more to come in time. So, place your bets, gentlemen and ladies. Where are we going to be starting this universe in live action proper? Some have been theorizing that it's going to be the Horus Heresy, because it's obviously a big event where the Emperor gets attacked and wounded greatly by his son, pretty much. It's complicated. If you don't know, the Primarchs are like the sons of the Emperor pretty much, and then there's Space Marine chapters that spring off the DNA of each of these Primarchs. So Horus is one of those Primarchs. Think of them like demigods, if you will, and the Emperor is like the god of man pretty much. I mean, it's obvious that they will eventually do the Horus Heresy. There's no way in hell they don't do that because it's so significant to the overall universe of that franchise, but I don't think they'll start there, because the Horus Heresy, to me anyway, feels more like where you would end a series, or a season at least. Like you would end the season with the Emperor gravely wounded, Horus defeated, and then the fallout from that expands and then creates...
No, they'll put it in the middle of the season and it'll be like half an episode and it'll be going on while characters are talking.
New stories. Starting there could work, yes, but it would be passing too much other things in my opinion. As for who Henry plays, I mean, a lot of people want him to play the Emperor himself, which I mean, it would be fitting considering his importance to this whole project, yeah. But I mean, after the Horus Heresy, Henry Cavill as the Emperor, he really wouldn't have much to do, because he's basically just going to be stuck on a throne, literally rotting as thousands of Psykers get sacrificed to him daily to keep him alive. If you ask me, it's kind of a waste of his star power and acting skills. Otherwise, he could also play Horus himself, but I'm not okay with that personally either. But I do got two that I would pick for him. Well, actually three. First would be Guilliman, one of the Primarchs. He's considered to be very powerful and stalwart against the forces of chaos, and of course he has his own powerful chapters of Space Marines below him, so that would be fitting of Henry Cavill. My second choice would be Titus from Space Marine, the games, but to be...
I'm pretty sure he already said that he's not going to play Titus. That he does not want to play Titus because Titus is like already a well-established character. He wants to play somebody that he could prop up.
Real with you, I actually fully expect them to cast the voice actor of Titus to play him in live action. Sure, he doesn't look as much like the character, but he obviously sounds exactly like him. And Clive Standen is no stranger to acting in war epics and fighting in big battles. The dude played Rollo in Vikings after all. So I think him playing Titus just makes complete sense to me. I really don't see them casting anyone else, but for whatever reason, if Clive Standen can't do it, then yeah, Henry works here very well too. I think the most popular pick for a lot of fans is that Henry plays Grigor Eisenhorn because it's just the perfect mix of what Henry Cavill has done before, and it works to his strengths. TLDR, Eisenhorn is an Inquisitor who's trained at a young age. He's basically like Warhammer's Sherlock Holmes to make it simpler to understand. He hunts down mass murderers and stuff, which then combines what Henry is perfectly known for already. I mean, the dude played Sherlock Holmes before on Netflix, he's been in action movies too, not to mention The Witcher as well. So just take all of that, put it in a bowl, and voila, you got Eisenhorn, Henry Cavill. For me, it works. But like I said, if he doesn't play him, Gilliman or Titus works fine for me too. The Emperor, yeah, but again, his current fate wouldn't really have Henry Cavill that involved, so maybe not. But if you ask me, make Danny DeVito the Emperor. I don't care if he's like 4 feet tall. I love Danny DeVito. He would look great in that golden armor on that throne. But that's who I think Henry should play. Of course, let me know what you think about who you should play or who you should not play in the comments. As for the era, I say pre-Horus Heresy. It allows you to build up the universe at the stage for the tragic downfall of the Emperor, and create a setting where humanity enters this really dark and dire age of strife. Then once the Primarchs are all set and all of that, Horus does his thing, stuff gets even more grim dark, then you go post-Heresy. The universe is yours for the taking pretty much, and then you can go hog wild. But to be honest, I think Games Workshop and Amazon will just combine various things from various eras if like certain characters didn't exist prior to this event and whatnot, just to make it all cooler and streamlined. I don't know, man, it's a lot. It's going to be a mammoth undertaking. They're going to need more money than anything in their past to make this a reality. I mean, one suit of armor for one actor is probably going to cost more than somebody's house. Also, how are they going to do the height difference thing too? Are they going to have the actors in stilts within the costumes? Or will they do the Lord of the Rings thing where they made the hobbits look smaller than those of the humans? So many questions.
It's gonna be CG, 100%. They're just gonna CG in either the armor, or they're gonna CG the people in the armor into the scenes, or they're gonna CG everything around the people in the armor. That's how I see this going down. Probably like Lord of the Rings, but on a bigger scale.
Questions, but we'll know in due time. And I think not nearly enough people are realizing how absolutely knucking futz it is that it's been confirmed that Amazon quite literally owns the rights to Games Workshop's universe now. There's genuinely nothing stopping them from turning the entire universe and franchise gay and non-binary if they really wanted to. And mark my words, you're going to see female Space Marines in it. There's no way that it doesn't happen. It's not a matter of if, but when at this point. If CDPR is willing to...
You're gonna have gay black Space Marines. You're gonna have, like, diverse trolls. Orcs are gonna be diverse now. You're gonna have, like, obviously Asian and obviously black and obviously white and obviously trans orcs. And we don't need that. They just need... The orcs look like orcs and they can just look like orcs.
Make Ciri a Witcher? There's no way this doesn't happen as well. But let's not forget, guys, and this is why I'm worried, alright? Because the other time someone took Lord of the Rings outside of Amazon is that new War of the Rohirrim film that is currently bombing, by the way. It wasn't made by Amazon per se, although they are selling the film through Prime Video already, but the movie was made in partnership with Warner Bros, and it kind of shows you what happens when the original creators, or those that were entrusted to carry the torch, are not involved with the project. Because this animated Rings movie stars Hera Hammerhand, a female character that genuinely, I'm not kidding you, has nothing to do with the plot of the book whatsoever.
This looks barely better than the 90s Zelda anime. It reminds me a lot of it. Or was that 80s? That had to have been 90s.
She is literally just some random noble girl that is mentioned like once or twice in the book, and then the plot moves forward about the men in the story fighting the war. Because despite what these woke freaks tell you, pretty much all wars were fought by men, even in Lord of the Rings. Yet in this movie, Hera is the hero. She's an amazing fighter, of course, and horseback rider despite never doing any of these things. It's just like Galadriel Rings of Power, and this is what I mean, guys. The War of Rohirrim film is getting critically panned and cooked by critics and fans alike already. Yet for all intents and purposes, what it represents is 100% what these modern day studios want to push these days when it comes to these legacy projects. Force the men to take a back seat, put the women forward, make them amazing, make them lesbian if possible too if you can, and voila, you got a modern slap of a product ready for nobody to watch and only to burn money. Apparently, this movie was fast-tracked simply so the rights to the Lord of the Rings wouldn't be lost, which is funny, but it's true. But the fact this War of the Rohirrim movie has its opening scene show that Hera Hammerhand is denying marriage proposals, stating that she will marry no man? Yeah, she's a girl boss and a lesbian too, on top of everything else, I guess. And this is my worry for Warhammer, considering the same companies are all tied up with Rings of Power, this Rings animated movie, and Warhammer as well. Things could so easily go bad, it's not even funny, dude. So if you end up seeing two female Space Marines scissoring each other, don't say that I didn't warn you. Also, apparently in that Rohirrim film, Hera overpowers every man that she fights and kills them, and the women win the day. Because feminism is amazing, guys. Remember to eat your bugs, live in your pod, and shave your head like the chick in Naughty Dog's Intergalactic, so nobody can properly tell what gender you even are. Because in space, nobody can know your gender, or whatever the hell the Aliens film poster said. Now let's move on to this other story from Fandom Pulse report. IGN parent company Ziff Davis saw organic revenue decline by 10% since 2021, now buying out and laying off staff. So the entirety of the game's journalism populace is getting reduced, which is obviously not good for games journalists, but this sort of
Didn't see that coming at all. Didn't see that coming at all. Oh boy, oh boy.
thing happens when you no longer speak for players. Here's what the internal company email from Ziff Davis said, which was shared by someone who works in the industry, I assume, whose name is Max Tani. Over the past 3 years, our industry has faced significant challenges. Despite navigating these headwinds effectively, our overall organic revenues have declined by 10% since 2021. Through strategic acquisitions, we have offset some of these declines and positioned ourselves for future growth. However, we also need to adjust our cost base to ensure long-term success. Given that the majority of our costs reside in our payroll, we are faced with a difficult decision to reduce headcount. We're eager to avoid the kind of across-the-board reduction in force that has become common in our industry. To that end, we are offering a voluntary buyout program to employees who may be ready to move on, explore new opportunities, or just take a break. This program provides a payment equal to 4 to 6 months of your base salary based on tenure, plus for our USA employees, continued medical benefits under COBRA. People like Kat Bailey, who worked at IGN, announced they're leaving the company as well as part of this reduce in workforce too. Even Christopher Dring, who was leading the website GameIndustry.biz, is leaving that site, who said, "A small piece of news, I'm leaving GameIndustry.biz at the end of the month. It's been quite the 8-year journey. I love the industry, I love business media, and I'll be back in 2025, although what that will look like is to be worked out." There's a lot of these similar posts, but I think you get the idea, of course.
I love it. I love to see it. I love all these gaming journalist weirdos are losing their jobs left and right because they're all liars. How do you give Dragon Age Veilguard a 9 out of 10? How do you do that? Even a 7 out of 10. Like you're missing it so much. You don't even know what gamers like. They don't even care. They want to give all of these games their agenda points, their gay points, their rainbow points, pride points.
The game industry is, for all intents and purposes, imploding pretty much. There's no other way of putting it. Of course, they will end up blaming the viewers or players for not supporting them, but it's the fault of these ideologies in the end, like always. The simple truth is that today, 99% of the games industry just doesn't speak for the players. They just don't. Seeing IGN lay off staff after they made hit pieces attacking games like Black Myth Wukong, where they said the game developers were sexist with zero credible evidence, then got literally the entire industry to reference that IGN article about this, is kind of what I mean. The point is that they lost consumer trust, and it was not the fault of YouTubers or the viewers. It falls entirely on the shoulders of the people who okayed and pushed to write these articles and push these people in front of players as representatives of the industry. Like I said in my previous video, these people do not and will never speak for me ever again, because when I entrusted this industry and the flow of information into the hands of the very same people who want me excommunicated and dead for simply thinking differently, I can't say that I'm exactly sad to see these people go. Because the reality is, if my
This is literally the same thing that game journalists and game companies like this used to do back in the 80s and 90s, where they would pay people to give them better reviews. Now, instead of paying people, they're putting all this agenda and stuff in there so they can get better reviews. And you know what? I think, aren't they anybody that has the DEI stuff, the DEI initiatives in their companies, don't they get a kickback from that? Don't they get incentives from that? If you have any information on that, drop it in the comments. I need to know more about it, because I remember reading articles and hearing about it and hearing people talking about it, but I just don't remember.
YouTube channel just suddenly imploded or I died, these types would be celebrating my death rather than mourning it simply because I thought differently than they did. I'm done playing nice. This industry needs to change. It just simply does. And I'm tired of trying to pretend that I'm somehow going to be nice to these sorts of people when they have never been that to me. They say they just want to talk about games, but they keep advocating for all the usual things that people loathe in games. They made hit piece after hit piece attacking games that people love, tearing down games people wanted more of, and scolding players for supporting things like Gamergate 2. But here's the kicker. The existence of this behemoth that is Gamergate would never have existed if these people simply done what they should have done in the first place. But now with their hands no longer on the wheel, they're flying to the wayside, and it's their faults alone. Remember that a Sweet Baby employee started Gamergate 2. You can blame all of this on Chris Kindred, not Cabrutus Rambo, not me, nobody. We didn't start this. We tried to be civil with you games journalists and the companies too. And then you spat on us and told us that we were nothing and that we were all better off dead. So now, there's only one real cure, which is to burn it all down and let it be reborn in the ashes of what once was. And I think more than ever, people are realizing quickly that unless you give people what they want, they don't have to support you. Whether it's Henry Cavill's Warhammer universe, if they screw it up, I will burn it down. I don't care. I don't owe any corporation anything. You either give the respected paying customers what they want, or you just face the consequences. Stop thinking you're better than the viewer, stop believing you are above the paying customer, because without those watching and supporting you, your opinions and actions mean and will do nothing. Never talk down to your audience, never attack your fans, and always respect those who put their faith in you. Thank you for watching, subscribe, have a wonderful day, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Literally, I couldn't have said it better. He's a better speaker than I. But just make good games, man. It's not hard to leave all this crap out of your games. Your games would be good and would sell extremely well and have better narratives and stories if you get all this DEI inclusive crap out of there. We don't need it. Just make normal games and it'll be fine, and they will sell well, and you will be successful, and you will be remembered forever, because people don't remember these DEI woke games, except for the really, really bad ones. What they're remembering is that all of them as a whole are bad, and the gaming industry is in a bad place. Well, the AAA gaming industry is in a bad place.